also was one of the founding members of the mentoring group, along with Tracy Schroeder and Jason Benedict and Louise Finn. I'm really proud of that work, and these days I'm a mentor more than part of the organizing group. It's in good hands right now. I thought that was I think that's a great program, and I've seen the people transitioning from mentees to mentors. Like, I don't know, Mike, was John Barati a mentee at one point? Now he's a mentor, and it's great to see people grow in in their management roles and then move from one role to the other in that program.
The one I got the most fun out of was the last, I think it was 3 years of work and 2 years just kind of hanging on teaching, and that was on the mentoring committee. I was working with one of the guys out of Fordham, I think, was chairing it at the time. And I really enjoyed that.
Well, the question, we've kind of spread out a little bit, but the original question was, how have you been involved in the CITM? And I think it's probably still the case that if you move the wrong way, like if you're at an auction, all of a sudden you're going to be presenting at the next conference on some topic. And I've presented on all kinds of things over the years, classroom technology, telephones. But the thing I had the most, and then it asked if I was ever program committee. I should cover that for a second too. The early conferences, and this may still be the case, the way you got to be president of the CITM was to host a conference.
Hosted at Scranton, and I don't remember the year. It was the first ever meeting of the combination of the CIOs, the CITM conference, and the librarians. Now, I had a very close working relationship with the head librarian at Scranton at the time, Charles Kratz, who just recently retired from Scranton. He actually reported to me for many years at Scranton in that library role. And we kind of worked with our conferences and cooked this up that, you know, because the professions and the work that professions were doing we were beginning to overlap so much that we would bring the groups together at Scranton for the first ever combined meeting. And we would have sessions together, and then we would have sessions separately. And I don't know if anybody else remembers that, but that's the way that we had that thing set up.
Well, I've been involved in attending about 12 meetings throughout over time. Don't go every year. Haven't been able to, but I've gone to 12 meetings and they've all been, you know, very enjoyable. I presented at a few meetings. I've served on 2 program committees, the 2 that we've for the 2 meetings that we've hosted at Georgetown in 02 and this year in 21. I have, for the first time ever, signed up to be a mentor this year, and that's been a very enjoyable experience this semester. It's very rewarding, I think, both for mentor and mentee, and the mentee sometimes is the mentorer. So it's really been a delightful thing. Plus, I also enjoy just the online conversations we have outside of the annual meeting. I think that there's some really good information that gets shared there. I just think that the conference provides ample opportunity to network with peers at other Jesuit schools, to get great ideas, to share the good things that you've done, and to really to build on the network that's there across all the Jesuit schools, not only in the U.S. but worldwide.
And I was a member of the mentoring committee. That special interest group was one that I was really intrigued with, because I felt so welcomed when I showed up at the first meeting. The fact that we could connect people with experience to up-and-comers in our individual organizations with those folks was just a tremendous benefit. I ran a couple of my own people through it. I mentored some other people. So I think just that collaboration between the groups is just phenomenal.
And since then, I've chaired and helped create the AJCU mentoring program. with some really good folks. Tracy Schroeder, past CIO at University of San Francisco. Ellen Cohane, who else was involved in that? Susan Malish was on the original team that did that. And that was really a very rewarding proposition. You know, at the time, Tracy came to us and said, you know, that she had some folks on her staff who really needed mentoring, but she was uncomfortable as a CIO mentoring them within her own institution, and thought that maybe since we had so many similarities, we could share that across the institutions, and maybe somebody from a sister school could share their mentoring and their leadership with some people on her team. And of course, that just got crazy out of control. Next thing you know, we were creating a program from scratch out of thin air and managing it and trying to shepherd it along. And then right after that, Tracy left to go to Boston University. And she asked me to chair it. And of course, not being one to shy away from a challenge, I chaired mentoring. Subsequently, I've been on shared services and, oh, criminy. I currently chair, for better or worse, again, I chair the AJCU ITSEC, the Cybersecurity and Risk Management SIG, Special Interest Group for the AJCU. What have I done? I ran the conference in one of the years. I don't know what year it was, maybe 2009, or yeah, I think it was 2000, maybe 2010 at Fordham University. So I
was pretty swiftly sucked into the fabric of the group. And in the early years, I want to say with Ron and Tracy Schroeder and a number of others, partnered and collaborated with a number of colleagues to establish the mentoring program. We've talked for a number of years about shared services across the institutions with varying levels of success. But that was a big concept early on that we really wanted to put our heads together about. And then for a number of years, we actively supported some specific benchmarking that we leveraged from AJCU's core data service, but then applied it to the AJCU schools. I served as president probably roughly about 10 years ago or so. One of my charges was to update the bylaws in 2010, 2011. So to help try to manage how we were managing roles and responsibilities within the group. And I have also presented at meetings fairly regularly, and I don't think I have missed attending a conference during the 15 years.
I got involved in the Web Collaboration Committee relatively early on. Ellen Cohane, as I was saying, from Holy Cross, she says, yeah, I want to step down. Do you want to take over? No, actually, she gave it to Alan Chen first, and then Alan Chen left like 2 seconds later, and I already got sucked into the committee, and I was the last man standing to Jack Corliss again. His name keeps coming up. He wants to be remembered, obviously. Jack says to me, well, you have to run it now. I go, what do you mean I have to run it? I'm going to run this. And then I took over Web Collaboration. Now I'm still involved in Web Collaboration. Krista Kopp's taking it over now since then from LMU. But I'm still working with her, and we're still trying to come up with the next generation of what we're going to do for collaboration. So that was one of my early participations. I think I've been presenting at every conference since Chicago. I didn't present at the Fordham one. I was more of the timekeeper in the back. That was one of my roles, again, as one of the assistants. You know, okay, cut it off or whatever. But I've been presenting since Chicago. Also was in the mentor program. And it was funny because at the time that I signed up to be a mentee, Jason Benedict, again, my boss, was the one running the mentorship program at that point. And he thought it'd be really funny to match up a lunatic New York sports fan with a lunatic Boston sports fan just to see what would happen. Thus, my introduction to Mike Burke, CIO Boston College. And after we got over the sports stuff, he's really been a great mentor.
I'm confident that most of what I've learned as a leader has come from my experiences working with the CIOs on this call and many others. I can't emphasize enough how important that was to me. I involved myself in the mentoring program. I mentored someone from LMU. His name is not coming back to me at the moment. I made 10 presentations at least over the years to the conference. I served on several committees. I was the treasurer for about 7 years, and we hosted the conference at Gonzaga.
I've been involved in shared services subcommittee for, or shared services committee for probably 6 years of the 13 years that I've been CIO at OMU. I have been involved in mentoring for 1 year, which again was one of the most rewarding experiences that I've had in my professional career. And I was president for, I think, 1.5 years in the 2014, 2015 timeframe. And all of those engagements with CITM have been special. During my role as president, we actually worked with a couple of CIOs, Mike Burke, I want to say Kathy Lang, and a couple of others, worked with provosts and chief business officers across the AJCU, put together a white paper that we ultimately presented to the presidents in DC around shared services and opportunities that might exist. And
the other thing that had a really meaningful impact to me was the mentoring program. So I was part of the I think first round of mentees. So I was lucky enough to be paired up with Bruce Montes from Loyola Chicago. Bruce just helped me out at a time in my career that was kind of pivotal for me, and I really credit Bruce with kind of giving me, helping me to develop some skills that have led me to where I'm at today.
I'd say with CITM, my engagement has been a couple of things. Presentations, of course, I think I've shared my ideas and concepts. Once I understood the landscape of higher education and the challenges the CIOs were facing, both at a technical level, at a financial level, at a business level, I think one of the things that really I've been pleased with is the ability to share ideas and concepts about how to approach these things. The challenges facing higher education the last 5 years that I've been a part of this has been very different than the last 40 years.
Do you participate in the mentoring program as a mentor for one person out in Gonzaga, which was a great opportunity, and it also enabled me to get one of my team involved, management team involved on that committee, who's still on the committee. And actually several staff from Scranton have participated in the mentoring program, which is wonderful because some of them have only been at Scranton. So it was great to get them exposed to someone at another institution with similar missions doing things in IT.
Treasurer for CITM, as well as the chair of the mentoring program. And generally, I just try to be useful wherever I can. I've participated in the conferences as a speaker and done some other things just on the side, engaging with our different AJCU institutions, helping out wherever I can. It's a great community.
So I'm on the, kind of the committee that runs the mentoring program, been that pretty much since I started. So I think we've had, to think back, 4. I think this was my 4th year as part of the committee, and I've also mentored 4 individuals from different campuses, right? Which has been, I always say, I think I get a lot more out of it, than the mentees sometimes. And I had an opportunity to step in as the secretary of the CITM. So so I think this is my 3rd year of kind of being part of that leadership team, and then again I think that's been really fun in terms of getting to know people better, getting to know kind of how the group functions and some of the history, right? That has been a great experience for me too. So I think it's definitely this has been one of the highlights for me. In my career at Gonzaga has been, to have this community.
The opportunities that have come my way to be an officer of the CITM first as a treasurer several years ago, then as a vice president, and now as a president, I feel have provided me with increasing levels of understanding of both CITM and AJCU. Every time I learn a bit more about AJCU, about CITM, I value them that much more. Quite frankly, I feel privileged and honored to carry this torch and be an instrument in its progress. Hosting the annual conference in 2019 was a lot of work, obviously, but it was also, even more importantly, quite a fulfilling experience.
Just the next year after St. Louis, my colleague Tony and I, we have a major learning analytics initiative at Loyola Chicago, and we were asked to come and present on it. And I thought it fit in the TTL track. So, we did a formal session on that. So we kind of shared what we're doing.
So I've been involved with a number of different AJCU programs. So I think the majority of it has been in TTL related. I have been just really fortunate. Vicki was paired up through the mentoring special interest? No, the mentoring committee, I don't know, program, something like that, mentoring group. And that was absolutely invaluable. Vicki, I think, can attest to how much I needed that weekly meeting time. I work in an all-male office, so having another woman to talk to on a regular basis was phenomenal. And also, as somebody sort of early mid-career at that point, a lot of just kind of strain, just dealing with the navigation of life in academia for the first time.